welcome to Daydreams of Quilts on YouTube. I'm Anita and I'm your host here. Today we are sewing a bowl cozy, which is a very handy thing to have to keep yourself from burning your fingers when carrying a hot bowl of soup or from freezing your fingers when carrying a bowl of ice cream. So this was a special request from my son. He asked me to make one for him yesterday when he was carrying a hot bowl to the table. We're using a free pattern from Made for Mermaids. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get more videos from Daydreams of Quilts, and let's start sewing. So the first thing you're going to want to do is head to that link that I have put in the description and download the pattern from Made for Mermaids and print it out. And then we need to tape these pieces together. And these are no trim pieces. So you can just overlap one on top of the other, and you can sort of see through your top piece and line up these little dotted line squares right here. Just line that up with the one underneath, and then tape it with some Scotch tape. And so we have 1A, 1B, and 1C. So 1C will come after 1B. So it's nice that we don't have to spend time trimming our paper. Okay, and we'll just keep taping these together until we have all 6 sheets of paper put together. They're all taped together now, and there is a diagram on the blog post that shows you how it will look. So now we need to cut these out on this dotted line. You can choose either the square bowl cozy or the rounded bowl cozy, or make both, whatever you want to do. There's going to be some scrap paper down here, so just save those for making grocery lists or whatever. And so we'll start cutting these out. Okay, so here they are cut out, and I think I'm going to do the square one. So we need to cut 2 of the main fabric and 2 of the padding. They're saying to use this microwavable batting. It's called Pellin Wrap and Zap, and you can put it in the microwave. I don't have that, so I'm just going to use cotton polyester batting. I am also not going to be putting my bowl cozies in the microwave because I'm worried that we might have, you know, a possible explosion, and I don't want the bowl cozies to get hit with the fallout. So I'm just going to recommend that you microwave your food and then carefully take it out and put it in your bowl cozy. Okay, so I have my batting folded up to make a double layer, and I'm just putting some flat pins to hold the pattern piece. And we want the flathead pins so that we can use our ruler. If I use these glass head ones, they would make our ruler slip around. So I'm just going to cut with my ruler. To get my 2 batting pieces. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the fabric pieces. So I have 2 pieces of circular logic fabric that was designed by Janine Van Gool of Uppercase. I think she has a new line coming out soon. This was the 3rd line, I believe. or maybe it was the second one. But I'm just gonna, I have 2 pieces of fabric layered here, so I can cut them both at the same time. So we'll just pin the corners. And this is a great way to use up your batting scraps as well. And if you have any other ideas for videos, please feel free to leave a comment down in the comments section. And I will just cut out my squares here. I have my kids home from school. You might be able to hear them upstairs. I think just about the whole country has their kids home from school now. There we go. So these would probably be a good gift idea for a housewarming gift or an engagement party gift as well. So you could probably knock a few of these out in a weekend. Okay, so we're ready for the next step. So I've sewn a basting stitch. Actually, I just used a regular stitch length, but I've sewn it around the edge of this fabric and this fabric to attach to the batting, just so it doesn't move around. I try to sew like as close to the edge as I can so that I can just catch it in the seam allowance and not have to unpick it later. So then I've cut out the darts on the pattern piece. I think I'm just going to stick a couple extra pieces of tape on here because now we've cut some of the, depending on where you taped it, you might have cut some tape away. So now we're going to lay this down on our square, and we're going to fold up on the dotted line, and we're going to draw a line on our fabric, and then we're going to fold the opposite way and draw another line so that we'll have some stitch lines marked. So I'll fold that. It's folded, and I am now going to use my ruler to mark with chalk. You could also probably just do this corner to corner with your ruler. Okay, and then the other way. And the same thing with your other piece of fabric, and then we'll just stitch on those lines to attach the fabric to the batting. I'm just using an air erase pen for this next one. You could also use a friction pen. If you want, you could put some clips to hold this paper down, but I am using a ruler and I think the clips will get in my way, so I'm just going to use the ruler. Okay, so I'll stitch those down and we'll be on to the next step. So I've got those diagonal stitches done on both pieces. So next we need to flip to the batting side, put our pattern piece down on top, and this time I am going to clip it. Probably should put this where you can see it. And once I have it all clipped together, we're going to trace these with a friction pen or some other kind of marking pen. We're going to trace these darts. Okay, so we're just going to go all the way around on both pieces and and trace out these darts. So we'll be ready to sew them in just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to do the other piece and then we'll go over to the sewing machine. So I've marked the ends here with pins, the ends of the darts, just so it's easier to match them up here. So we're going to match up those two end parts. I'm going to put a clip here. And we're going to sew from the tip of the dart down to the bottom. We're going to back stitch at the start and stop of the seam and then trim to 1/4 inch. Or sorry, 1/8 of an inch seam allowance after we sew. And I'm going to move my pins out now so I don't break my needle. Okay, and we're just gonna, I'm gonna sew all the darts first and then I'll trim them all after. Make sure your fabric on the other side isn't puckering. Match up those pins and then put a clip or two. Just make sure this is not puckering back here. There we go. Oh, take those pins out. And the last one for this piece of fabric. And stitch. And then I will trim the seam allowance to 1/8 of an inch approximately. And then I will repeat the process for the other side, or the other piece of fabric. But you can start to see how it's looking like more like a bowl shape now. Okay, so now we have both our pieces. We're going to turn one inside out and put it right sides together with the other one. And you match up your dart seams, and you'll probably want to put one seam going one way and one going the other way to nest them together. So I'm gonna pin all their, or clip I guess, clip all the way around. First I'll do the darts, and then I will do the corners. And then we're gonna sew all the way around the top, but we're gonna leave an opening of about 4 inches for turning. So I will do that. I will sew around and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Okay, so I've sewn all the way around with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm sewing the square bowl cozy, so I'm gonna trim off my corners so that when I turn it, I can have nice sharp corners. So we just wanna cut almost to the seam, but not through the seam. Okay, and then I'm going to use pinking shears to trim this seam allowance down to 1/4 inch from a 1/2 inch. And then these will be great for my teenage son if he wants to carry his hot bowl. Some people like to sit on the couch to eat their food, and so this will be nice to hold your bowl with. Okay, I'm almost done trimming. Now we're not going to want to trim the part where we left the seam open, because we want to have it so that we can really get it tucked under when we go around to top stitch. So this is where my seam's open, so I'm just going to trim over here. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it right side out. I might not have left a big enough opening. Oh, I don't think I did. I think I'm just going to pop out a couple stitches here. There. Turn it right side out. And poke out the corners with my fingers. Or if I wanted to, I could also use a chopstick. Okay, so I've got the opening clipped with clips, and I'm going to sew, just sort of top stitch all the way around this upper edge. And when I come around here, I will close this opening. So there we go. It's all sewn. I think I'm going to have the darker fabric on the inside because that's probably where food is going to get spilled. But I'm pretty happy with that for a first try. So you just put your bowl in, you can hold your bowl, eat your ice cream, eat your soup, and you're not going to be having cold or hot fingers. So I hope you enjoyed that. Happy sewing, and make sure to check out Made for Mermaids if you are planning on sewing a garment. I really enjoy their garment patterns, and it was really nice of them to give us this free bowl cozy pattern to sew with. Okay, I hope you enjoyed making your bowl cozy. Please remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for sewing with me.
Milo.